if you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Mega power, yeah.
Hogan, we got it for you.
No! We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling, dealing. Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Talking in the Building, a wrestling podcast where we do nothing but talk about the promos, where we talk about the talkers, hype the hype men, and pontificate on that promo. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, on the East Coast. Adrian's not too far from me. Adrian, how you feeling up here in Atlanta as well?
Doing good, man. Running on fumes, but I'm here.
Hey, you here. And then Adelaide, all the way over there in the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. How you feeling, bro?
Brother, busy, but it's always good to hang and good to be here with the audience. And I think I wore shorts for the first time in months, so
Nice.
that kind of weather.
Dude, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I was in shorts yesterday, and I walked out today. I'm like, what just happened? So I don't even. We're in that fall spring right now here in Atlanta. So we get the flowers blooming, and then even the flowers go, what just happened? So
Everybody confused.
yeah, for sure. So tonight's show, I was thinking about certain things have been hitting me recently, right? Off camera, off podcast, we talked about Danhausen. We've kind of, talked about a couple other things like, comedy wrestlers or whatever. And I don't know why, but recently these characters have been popping up for me, like just on my Facebook feed, or not so much Facebook, but more TikTok feed or Instagram. And one of my favorite characters when I was a kid is what we're going to look at tonight. But I just want to kind of come to y'all. Adelaide, I'm going to come to you just from a character standpoint. I'm talking about like a character, not like, whether it's the occupations, whether it's the monsters. What character frightened you or made you go, dude, I don't know about this one? As a kid, of course, right? Not well, could be as an adult, I guess. There's some crazy ones out there. Like I told the story on here before. When I was a kid, I was in the Omni in Atlanta, the Madison Square Garden of the NWA. That's what it was. And I remember being there, and Abdullah the Butcher would come out, and I remember screaming at that dude. He turned and looked at me, and I ran. It scared me to death. He took 3 steps towards me and my friends, and I swear I was on the floor, and I was not after that. I was gone. And then fast forward a few years, people out there don't know, Abdullah had a restaurant here in Atlanta. Abdullah the Butcher's House of Ribs and Chinese food. Because when you think about Southern barbecue, of course Chinese food comes with it, right?
100%.
And I will be honest, the ribs were good. But I remember sitting there on multiple occasions, just sitting there, chilling out with Abdullah the Butcher. And there were both moments we're having conversation, just chilling. And I zone out because I'm like, this dude scared me crapless as a kid. And I never told him, but I was like, this is the wildest thing in the world. I'm having a conversation with this dude, sitting on the porch for like 3 hours, and this is wild. And I'll tell you one other thing about Abby. If I'm sure you guys have seen Friday After Next before, right? Bruh's Barbecue. Tastes so good, make you want to slap your mama, right? That. If you got the DVD or if you go find the extras, they go to these different barbecue restaurants and they talk to them. Abdullah the Butcher is one of them.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah, so you actually see him at the grill and some of the stuff he did, which is wild because Adrian, one of the things he did, and I come to you because you're a chef, in the coals and in the wood, he would put vegetables in the wood. He would put some peppers down there and some tomatoes and stuff and have that flavor come up out of the wood. Pretty interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for me, one of the characters that scared me was Abdullah. So that kind of sets it up for you guys as to where my mindset was going.
Yeah, man. I have to dig deep because like pro wrestling for me was always just this escape that was just colorful and not necessarily scary, but I will say this. I don't know if it was scary, but it was definitely like the kids say now. It was a vibe back then, but it was definitely. It was when Undertaker shifted to the kind of Ministry of Darkness one.
Mm.
Dude, the amount of goth kids or like like just kids, I just said that's the kind of the way they dressed back then, that immediately started liking pro wrestling was substantial. And not because they like pro wrestling or because like that, because they thought this dude's kind of like demonic. This guy's really like, maybe he's a Satan worshiper. What the hell is going on? And he played that character so well. And then he introduced the side characters and kind of loses his effect. But just on its own, when that Taker's like, dang, it's like, I know you were the this purple laden character at one point, but when he switched over, it was like, okay, you're not just reinventing yourself. This might actually be truly who Mark Calloway is, which after the fact we know the biker gimmick is more him than anything. And but that was one that recalls. If I had to go back and dig deep as a kid, I wouldn't say he scared me, but he was imposing, and maybe just because he was always like in character. Sergeant Slaughter, when he come out, I was like, oh, this guy's a disciplinarian. Like he can actually probably kick your butt and stuff. And it's like, and then when they did the whole angle with at the WrestleMania and everything when he switched sides. But for me, I had that one surreal moment at a con with him and Jesse Ventura. And it was weird because here I am, like, I grew up watching Jesse, and I remember, him being the governor or being governor of Minnesota and everything. And same thing, with Slaughter. And here they are just being normal dudes. I mean, I guess Jesse as normal as he can be, but it was entertaining to hear those stories and standing a feet away. I think we will never get over that when you see these larger than life characters on TV, and then you're like, oh, like I'm like 2 feet away from this dude, and he's just drinking his Diet Coke over here. It's weird.
It's surreal.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've told you about the story of Adrian not being in, I think we're in New York, right? When we heard Jesse we were at the bar, and Jesse Ventura was down there in the bar.
Yeah, that was New York. Yeah,
it was the wildest thing.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what's that voice? That's that. Wait, that's Jesse Ventura.
I'm gonna take it down to Baja. Sorry, I can't do the Will Sasso impression.
Adrian, what about you? I mean, just a character from the past that frightened you, made you question life, or whatever it may be.
As a kid, it had to be Jake the Snake Man. It had to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always imposing, like seemed like something was off with him. And of course, you're talking about Damien. Damien alone. I just remember as a kid watching Macho Man and Liz's reception and the snake coming out and all of that. Like, that's what, 92-ish? So I'm still a kid at that point. And I do remember being worried for them and therein being afraid of Jake the Snake. So, and then little did I know he was actually kind of crazy. So,
right.
So I had the right intuition.
Yeah, Jake the Snake's a good one, man. I mean, that's one of those ones that's like psychological. And I think it's funny when I think about my fandom, I was always, like some people go heels, some people go faces. And as you guys know, Hogan was my guy growing up, and I stuck with him through NWO and everything. But I always loved Jake, even when he wrestled here in Georgia as part of the Legion of Doom. If you don't know, he was part of the Legion of Doom. Legion of Doom originally was a faction. It was not just a tag team. And then when he went to WWE, I was with him. I was with him the whole time, to the point that I tried my best to get a pet snake. And my mom was like, that is not happening.
Nice.
I tried my best to get one. Even to the point of trying to go catch one. And I was scared of him, but I was like, if Jake can do it, I can do it. And then, so that was that's interesting, because also, even to today, we talk about how wrestling's influenced our lives, right? I love psychological thrillers, like movies and stuff like that. And to me, that was Jake.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, yeah. So I brought another character who I think is one of the underrated characters, especially pre WWE days. and somebody that I think gets lost in the shuffle. But man, you talk about vision, you talk about vignettes back in the day, and you got to talk about Jerry Lawler and Mr. Jarrett coming up with this character. So let me go ahead and send and bring this up because this is his original vignette from Memphis Wrestling.
Kamala, 6'9" tall. Kamala, 385 pounds. Kamala, the biggest man known to professional wrestling today. Arms and legs as large as trees. As strong as some of the largest animals known to man. Kamala, 6'9".
Jeez.
Kamala, 385 pounds. Kamala, the Ugandan Giant.
What do y'all remember about Kamala? Adrian, I'm gonna come to you first on that one.
What I really remember of him was the less imposing, but more that he was afraid of Damien. I remember that. That's what I remember. But from a visual standpoint, of course, this dude's huge. He has his paint, and he should be as imposing as possible. But literally, the only memory I have of him as a child was him being afraid of that doggone snake. So we were on the same page there.
Yeah.
Hey, Ali, do you remember anything about Kamala?
He is a character that for me again kind of faded into this menagerie, this quilt, if you will, of pro wrestling at the time. I just remember seeing him and be like, well, if anybody is even an inch shorter than him, he's probably going to lose because this dude just can't be beat, and he looks, and he's barefoot, and who the hell is barefoot in the ring, you know? But man, that's selling there too, like just the low camera angle, and also just repeating the height and weight over and over, which, you know, I don't think he was a legit 6'9", but I mean, he's a big dude for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And what's wild, the reason I say that about Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler, that was recorded and filmed in Jerry Jarrett's backyard.
Of course it is.
Nice.
But also, you got I look at the territories like a Memphis. You know, they get a hard time about certain things, but that's way ahead of time. That's early '80s, and that's, you know, before WWE hitting a lot of vignettes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And those characters way back in the day, whether it was an Abdullah or George the Animal Steel or a Missing Link or like a Kamala, you had those. Hey, I went out and I found this crazy dude, or I found this, you know, Ugandan Giant, and I brought him here to whoop everybody's butt in pro wrestling because, you know, why not? But I remember, you know, I obviously have a little bit different memories of Kamala than y'all. I don't remember that before, but I do remember him in World Class, and I remember him in other territories, and there is footage of him slamming Andre.
Really?
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes.
And I just looked it up. He was 6'7".
Wow.
So
okay.
he
So
may not have
maybe
been 6'9". He was 6'7".
Not that much far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
So,
dude.
and the thing is about him, like he came into WWE and was a monster, and he had one of the only characters I can ever think of that had two managers. He had a handler and a manager.
That's true.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's
And
true.
I always thought that was cool. But I think that's something that, you know, Jarrett and Lawler had that vision. Then, of course, he goes to Watts. He goes to Devon Eriks and all that kind of stuff. And then Vince is like, oh, I need this dude. We'll feed him to Hogan. And And the thing is, like you said, later on he becomes a little bit more in depth, and with the whole being afraid of Damien and stuff like that. And then, of course, later on, we saw that imposing, pretty cool promo, I think, from a Memphis standpoint. But after WWE, he goes to WCW. Because if you remember, you guys may not, but Hogan, of course, goes to WCW. He's like, I need to make sure I'm taken care of. So let me bring in all my old friends and all the old people I used to work with, whether it was Earthquake, Brutus, and of course Kamala. So let's check out his debut vignette.
I have drank from the goblet of darkness, and now I feel your power. Father, now I know why we can crush the immortal Hulk Hogan and all those Hulkamaniacs. Father, what gift you give me next? I can't wait.
Taskmaster, my son, the warrior that I bring to you is a warrior that has crossed the burning sands of the Sahara Desert. A warrior who has slain the beasts on the slopes of Mount Kilimanjaro. From the deepest, darkest heart of the African continent, I bring you the Ugandan Giant, Kamala!
Thank you, my mama. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Father.
It's all right, my son, because it is it's now.
Man, what a difference.
A little bit. Yeah, Ali, thoughts on his WCW introduction?
Well, you kind of named it. I mean, he was fodder for Hogan, and then look, how many years after this happens, all I think about for a while after Hogan, when he would do signs like, which buddies are going to show up to? Is Brutus here? Where are the scissors? It's like Kamala was right up there, but I'll give credit what credit's due, because it's not the first time we've seen Kevin Sullivan dungeon promo. And that's always, we've actually spoke on it in a very good light, because I don't know, it's a set. It's like it's clearly like, there's some investment there. But man, that's a rough introduction to someone that does not have a clue who he is. And generationally, and also for people that were not WWF watchers, if this is your first exposure, man, that is a drastic departure from who he is. And man, I don't know what to say other than it really becomes more of a parody of the character. It's not to say that it wasn't something else before, but for me, it is. That's kind of what it becomes. It's Saturday morning cartoons,
That's what it was.
100%.
Yeah.
Adrian, your thoughts on what you just witnessed? And I do apologize for stressing you out and putting you guys through that just now.
No, I mean, we got to also take it from the context of when it was actually produced. And like Ali said, that's a Saturday morning cartoon, same color scape of Thundercats. If you go back and watch that stuff, that was pretty much that same setup and introduction, where the underboss talks to the big boss, who's going to be our villain, that's going to be the challenge for our hero, and he introduces them. That's pretty much what it was. That was the setup. I will say with Kevin Sullivan, he was actually going to be the second wrestler that I named that as a kid that I was afraid of because
okay.
he was on the crazy end also. So and even more on a realistic, like something's off with that guy. So I will just say that. But for that promo, I'm not too offended by the character presentation of the Ugandan Giant at this point because he's just a heavy that doesn't know that he's an actual heavy. Like he's a big imposing character, but he's still cowering under the father. You know what I'm saying? So it gives you some kind of intrigue as a child. Once again, I'm putting myself in a position that I'm a kid watching this debut, and I would say, "Oh, okay, I understand," or "Yes, I shouldn't be cheering for this guy," or "It's no confusion. These are bad guys by association. I have to boo them. I have to cheer for our hero to conquer them." So, I mean, it was a job well done. I mean, for what it was,
Yeah, it was funny watching that back, and I'm like, that's like Palpatine. It's like, what kind of control does he have over these people?
Yes.
Like, why does Kevin Sullivan come cower to this dude? And then you do see Kamala come in, and who's kind of imposing and all that, but he kind of has affection for father.
Right.
So, but what's always wild to me about Kamala is he was always that serious monster, whether it was against Hogan or Jake or Taker or whoever. And even when they made him a kind of a baby face at one point, it was just kind of different, right? But he was still a monster. I always kind of looked at him as that. You didn't always see those monsters flip. And he never became, I don't think, a total parody of himself. But so that's Kamala as a monster. But then we grew up, especially y'all, really more in that Raw Nitro era, right? Right, there's a lot of fandom in that live TV. I didn't grow up with live wrestling. I grew up with 605 on Saturdays, watching it from the studios. It's live to tape, but there's editing, there's some stuff happening. And then Saturday nights I had the Superstars of Wrestling block here in the Joe Pedicino block, where I had legitimately 6 hours of wrestling, and it was Memphis. And I know Memphis was live in Memphis, but beyond that, everything else was taped, right? And so, of course, if it's taped, there's going to be a lot of things that happen that we don't get to see. But now with the wonderful thing of YouTube and WWE releasing all kinds of footage and everything, I said, you know what? Let's bring some other sides of what we've seen about Kamala. If you haven't seen it, this is some good entertainment.
I wonder if you could get him to put this. I know. That means I missed interviews in St. Louis. Isn't that what that means, buddy? That he missed interviews in St. Louis when he should have been there? It was on the booking sheet. He missed interviews. Come here. No, I'm not kidding. Come here, Friday. Come here. Come on in here. Friday, you're kayfabe. Come here. Right here. Speak of the language. Kamala, what's this shit about you missing interviews in St. Louis? I want an honest answer here. I'm going to confront you. I'm just like what's his name, Walter Cronkite.
I don't speak English and I can't read English, so I missed the interview.
Yeah, well, I thought we had it though. It was written up in Swahili by James Barnett. I thought you would have got the goddamn message. This is ridiculous. When you're supposed to be in St. Louis for interviews, what the hell are you doing sitting on your ass in some goddamn hotel over in Ipswich, Illinois?
I do a little fucky.
Oh, okay. That's real good.
Wow.
Oh,
man. You can hear his he's from Mississippi. You can hear it all in that.
But that to me is just, when you see those things, because I didn't grow up seeing it, right? It was all heavily produced, and you saw the monsters, and you didn't see botches, and you didn't see those bloopers like that.
Oh, man.
I mean, that to me is just hilarious.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, I'll leave. What'd you think about that? And then that tells
I
you about the genius of Mean Gene as well.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I smiled immediately when you started saying the other side. I'm like, he's gonna bring a clip with Mean Gene because I've seen a few of them floating around. I've never seen this one.
Mm.
I've seen the other ones where like there's other wrestlers involved and they're like just giving. It's essentially it's probably the same blooper reel that they've released over the years,
Hmm.
but I never saw the one with just Kamala and just them responding to each other. But again, it speaks to what you said where we're so spoiled now. We're like, we got literal documentaries while production is going with, Unreal, where these, it almost kind of makes me want to go back to that and then maybe release these every couple of years, like,
Mm.
with the shoot interview, because you can tell they're just having fun, just like as coworkers.
Hmm.
Like it's so lighthearted. And I don't know, people always talk about the backstage. I know there was competition for sure, but I mean, they're having a good time, and Mean Gene is just like serving him up the same way he would serve it up in a produced interview. He's just hanging out. He's being kind of the MC of the backstage, and
Hmm.
and giving people a hard time. So it's just really cool to see. It's really cool to see these characters that we've only known as characters be just human beings, and
Mhm.
it's that part isn't as jarring. I guess it's more interesting. I guess.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, Adrian, before I come to you, I got one more clip. I got one
Okay.
more Kamala clip for y'all.
Junkyard dog. You said that your mother raised you to go to the big house and you can do this and you can do that, but you ain't done nothing until you meet the Ugandan Giant. Because I don't speak English, but I tell you one thing, I got a great amateur background. Look at that body. 22 inch chest, 58 inch arm.
That's awesome.
That's that Mississippi coming out, man. No, you need those kind of little bits to loosen up talent, to make people feel comfortable, like you said, having fun, so that they can cut a great promo. A lot of times I mean, we know of stories about how detailed Vince was in his later years. I don't really think that it was to that same degree back then, but obviously he's like, hey, these are bullet points, and a lot of those guys, they're thinking too heavy about, we got to hit on this, do this, do this, do this. What better than to have that little offshoot? Let's cut up, let's have a little fun, let's get a little more loose, and then you get into it, and that's what's gonna make it to your national audience, So that's absolutely harmless. I mean, we've seen movies like Step Brothers, where those guys are just riffing off of each other, and they're doing it for hours, literal hours, and then what makes it to film is like pure genius, So it's perfect. That's an awesome clip, and I want to go look at more of that, because I had no idea that was even out there like that.
Yeah, and what's cool about that, if people don't realize, back in the day when there were territories and they were wrestling 300 days a year, they would be in I would just use NWA when they were here. They would be in Macon on Saturday. They would be in maybe Chattanooga Sunday afternoon, Atlanta Sunday night, somewhere else Monday, and they would cut promos for every single one of those cities. So it may be the same match, but they're gonna talk. Hey, tonight in Macon, Georgia, or tomorrow in Atlanta, or whatever it may be. So they cut those promos, and some of the clips you can go out there and find is you'll see them back to back to back to back of Mean Gene standing there, and talent comes in, they cut it. Talent comes in, they cut one. Talent comes in, they cut it. And then of course, Bruce Pritchard or whoever's back there dicing that stuff up. And then I remember listening to, dang, it may have been Sting, but it was one of those guys in WCW. I know Dallas Page did it too. They were like, no, I'll stand back here and cut every promo for every city. And that's how they felt like they got good at the promos, because everybody didn't do the promos for every single city. You may have a Hogan that cuts one, and they kind of dice it. But then others would do specific ones, and there were certain talents I know in the NWA or WCW that would hit. They would say, "No, I'll stay here all day."
Mm.
And because then what do they get? They got TV time on every single market. They
Yes,
got better
right.
at the promos. They were there with Dusty or whoever else, and they get there like in WWE. You're there with Bruce Pritchard. You're there with these guys who are producing it. How do you get better at promos? Practice.
Right.
But to your point, seeing somebody like a Kamala, like to me, that first clip, the first funny clip, with Mean Gene, and he smiles. That to me is the best part of the whole promo. It's not the
Absolutely.
little line of in the hotel. It's the fact he turns his head and smiles,
Yeah.
and then you see that and you're like, man, that's like Jey Uso with Sammy. That's
Mm.
like R-Truth
Mhm.
breaking people up, and that's that kind of thing. Or that next one where he's messing with Junkyard Dog. You're like, I don't speak English. I'm like, you're plainly speaking English, right? And you can tell these dudes are having fun, and it's
Mhm.
like that's what I liked about this one. I thought this would be a fun night to do this and just kind
Yeah,
of
for sure.
have a character like that he did intimidate me as a kid.
Mm.
And as a kid, I did suspend belief
Right.
that he was from Uganda. I kind of knew he wasn't, but I definitely didn't think he was from freaking small town Mississippi.
Right.
I mean,
Furthest from the truth, probably.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I did assume that he was from some place over there, and they brought him over here, and just whatever. I didn't think he was like a Ugandan Giant type of
Right.
or
Right.
headhunter or whatever they called him later on. But so yeah, I just wanted to bring that, kind of have some fun with that tonight. Also, I know we've camped out on this many times, but that just still, those little clips
Mm.
still show you the magic of what Mean Gene was. God,
Mm.
Oh man, it's such masterful, and I don't mean that. I mean that sincerely. Like it's just the just to be so natural at it too. I mean, it's just like it's having like a real professional broadcaster that understands the business, which we. I don't mean it like that, but understands what pro wrestling can be. Because now I feel like we take it for granted. They brought in so many broadcasters that were legitimate fans,
Mhm.
and now you see them there. Like you got a Kathy Kelly, you got a Sam Roberts, right now. Hell, even in AEW, like Renee Paquette being formerly, in Canada and everything. So to see them now, if you go back, it's like he's just a pro's pro, just to go back and
Yeah.
see him interact. But also there's the other wrestlers being comfortable to just play off of him, and I can see this being almost like a warm up. They're probably in between takes and they're trying to get loose. And man, that next take is going to be so good because everybody's just like comfortable in the zone, relaxed, and okay, we're here to do business and let's do it.
Man, don't you wish you could have been a fly on the wall back then?
Like a stagehand or something back there, man.
Yeah,
That would've
or
been
have
dope.
an
The cameraman.
There you
Unreal
go.
recorded back then.
Oh,
I mean, that's man.
I don't know if we want to see that, man.
That's
true too.
It would have been unreal.
I don't know if we want to see that.
That is true. That is true. I mean, so a question for you guys: somebody like a Kamala or an Abdullah, could those types of characters work today?
Absolutely. I mean, we actually need more of those now. Like you have these guys that are intimidating. You have now. The only question would be how long would you be able to keep them as a heel in today's wrestling? Because wrestling fans, we're very fickle. We fall in love with things very quickly, especially if it's a very if they leave a really solid impression and get over with the crowd, then the people want them to be a babyface. People want them to be a good guy, and that's all we want. We don't really have the patience to suspend disbelief and believe that this person is a bad guy, especially like that kind of character, because that kind of character is somebody that's going to mow down people, essentially, and we like that. We like that. That's the reason why Oba is over the way he is, because Oba could be the biggest heel possible, but he can't. Right now, he can't. He can't. The motion does not dictate him becoming a heel anytime soon. because of that. But yes, pro wrestling absolutely needs characters like that. I'm not even going to say could that happen, because they need it. They severely need it, in my opinion.
Ali, what do you think? Can a character like that work?
I think it can. I mean, obviously, it would be a modern version of a Kamala, a modern version of Abdullah, just culturally and everything like that. However, there is something to the unknown, to these silent killers, right? These silent wrestlers that you don't need this heavy backstory to just be intimidated by, right? Adrian just made the great point of Obafemi, and like that one's cool because we know, like, we've lived with the character through NXT. But man, if they brought in someone, professional wrestler that's already seasoned or maybe not too well known, and that can own a gimmick, because let's be real, with Kamala, I mean, obviously tall, imposing dude, but the dude wasn't jacked. The dude wasn't like a physical specimen by any means.
Right.
And you didn't need that. No one questioned Kamala on the body. He wasn't a body guy, but nobody. It was like it doesn't matter.
Big son
So
of a
it would
gun.
have to be, what's that? Yeah,
He's a big son of a gun. That's it,
dude. That's all you need. And if you could bring in someone in the modern sense, like, people like give Kevin Owens crap, for being a certain body type, but we feel like someone gotten over that at this point. And if you're charismatic and you can run with a character, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is.
I think the only wrestler that I can even compare to those guys, at least in modern times, I mean, Adali, you would like this, from Lucha Underground, Montanza.
That's true.
Like, he was a powerhouse.
Yeah.
He didn't talk, and everyone knew when he was going in there, he was gonna get it done.
Yeah.
And he was intimidating. So I mean, what would you say, Kruger from MLW?
That's true. Yeah, the
he's
leader,
been around. Yeah.
Right. And they've never done a face reveal for him or anything. They've kept that.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Locked down. No, you're right.
Yeah, I can't really name anybody else.
Because even going back to Lucha Underground, like, I could technically make an argument for like a Mil Muertes, because he was still wrestling regularly, but he was still like, I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, you're like, okay,
you knew who the hell he was.
You knew who he was. But anyway, but even then, it's like the character was cool. But yeah, for Matanza, it's like, that they had the whole lore and the backstory, and once they introduced him, like, whoa, this is Matanza. It's like it was a lead up. But again, going back to this, the promo, the building the anticipation. So much of wrestling is less what the matches than the weeks of anticipation, right? And just the build up. That's the chase. In wrestling, the chase is better than the last match ultimately.
100%.
And I'm trying to think, like, now, like, who's in developmental, who's maybe on an indie circuit, indie scene that we don't know that could fit this description. And I'm having a hard time thinking.
I have someone.
Who's that?
Now, WWE, I know she was on LFG. Really big jack,
Yes,
I don't even know. I forgot her name.
Unique face, I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just unique look.
Yeah. She's huge, man. Like, she's jacked. Like, they can have her do that, Like, I don't think she can debut on NXT. They can easily have her on NXT. She doesn't have to say a word for 2 months. She could just walk in there, walk people down. But again, because of that crowd, she will be essentially cheered, and she'll be a babyface. So it's that conundrum of just modern wrestling
It's a different booking style, right? You almost have to book them. So because times have changed. Today, if you had brought Kamala in, he'd be a sympathetic babyface.
100%.
Because he's being used by Friday, he's being used by Fuji, he's being used by anybody else, and they went and got him. They're just taking advantage of him. He'd be 100% a sympathetic babyface. Abdullah would not be.
Right.
Abdullah, because even though he may have had certain things, he just had a different air about him, that he was a hired hitman. He was always that person who was brought in to take out Dusty or whoever. or Sting when Cactus brought him in because he was in a box at 1.2. So I think it just depends on the character. Depends on how the established feud. Because if you think about back in the day, and I've said this for years, Hogan did not feud with Kamala or with Earthquake or with Andre. He feuded with Bobby Heenan. He feuded with Jimmy Hart. He feuded with Fuji. Those were the feuds. Everybody else was a hired hitman. And you don't have that today. You don't have that Gary Hart. You don't have that, not Hart Foundation, but what he used to call his Hart Incorporated or Devastation Incorporated or the Heenan family or any of that kind of stuff, right? You have a different thought now. So if you brought in a wrestler like that, to your point, Adrian, if he mowed through everybody, it'd be like, oh, I'm behind him. But you'd almost have to bring him in and make them mow through people to where they don't deserve it. Because like a Big Show first match, boom, he's heavyweight champion of the world. People would lose their crap today.
Yeah.
And you can't have them be overly charismatic. You can't have them even be remotely cool. You got to make them savage somehow. And I think it'd be much more of a challenge today.
It's a harder sell, that's for sure. It's just a harder believability wise. I think
you'd almost have to have that person come
worse.
in. I think the right character for that would be a Logan Paul. Not now, but in the beginning. A Logan Paul or somebody coming in from the outside. Like a Gronk or a Kittle or somebody who came in and says, and the reason I use Gronk is because he has a little bit of heat now because he sided with Tom Brady about you guys aren't real athletes.
Right.
So come in with that type of a putting you down type of a character, right? But it has to be strong character work that goes with it. But you have to have that backstory to piss off the wrestling fan. But I think it would be much more difficult because to your point, we do look at Goldberg. Why did Goldberg get over? Because he went through everybody. Why did Ryback get over for a certain time frame?
That's true.
They were smart with Ryback because they brought in the jobbers, the two jobbers, and they did all that kind of stuff with him.
Jade in AEW, the way that
the
they
original run,
It's
unstoppable. And look at her now, Mania main event
champ,
and defending champ going in crazy. So I was gonna say I was looking for that wrestler we were trying to talk about, but in looking for, I thought in the past what's been the female version of this ultimately, and I was like Luna Vachon. I'm like she was like, I mean maybe not a character, but certainly one that came to the ring like, oh, that somebody's gonna get like destroyed here.
Awesome Kong.
Yeah,
Kong,
great one.
Yeah, for
sure.
Great
Kong
one.
definitely played that role.
Yeah.
There's definitely some females out there. I mean, even today, there's some out there who could do it. Nia Jax, had she been booked the correct way, could have been that person.
Totally.
Just because of body type and everything else. I think the one thing about her, she has such a natural personality. It comes through, but I think she could have been that attraction. And I think that's the other part about a Kamala or these characters we talked about, Abdullah, and even Jake. They were attractions.
Yeah.
And they were much better in small doses than long storylines.
Yeah, it'll come along. All this character works in me think when they do a biopic with real pro wrestling, or if they do the first like pro wrestling movie where it's not just like the wrestler. It'll be interesting to see how they pay homage to things like this, where like these are real conversations about real characters, and how are you going to speak to it? Because it's cool. It's cool to see kind of maybe for better or worse. Now we know how things are made. But I think what we're talking about too is we're also reminiscing about an era that, because you didn't know the backstage, it made it so much more special to have those attractions. And I think that's tougher today for sure.
Oh yeah, it is. But I think it's also because we're in such it's a weird business anyway.
Right.
And I'll say this, I love behind the scenes stuff, not just wrestling. I like watching how things are made. But I'm gonna use Star Wars as an example because we talk about toxic fan bases, right? And everybody has a toxic fan. Everybody
Yeah.
has one.
Oh yeah.
And Star Wars has great fans and they have toxic fans. I love watching the John Favreau roundtables where they sit down and talk about how they created Mandalorian. But I
Oh,
will
okay.
not watch any bloopers from any Star Wars movie. And the reason I don't want to do it is because that takes me out. And I don't want to see that. That's my own personal preference, right?
Right.
Y'all can
Right.
blast me in the comments. I don't care. But at the end of the day, that's me, right? I don't want to see that. But there's a whole bunch of other movies. I'll watch those bloopers all day long. But I don't want to watch it in that context. Anytime I've seen bloopers come up, I just nope. It's just not my thing. So it's like I don't like that part. But with wrestling, because it's such a gray area of sports, real life, and entertainment, it's hard. Like you have Gunther, who's the top heel in the country, in the world, who just retired two of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Storyline wise, is on Cody's podcast, the freaking nicest dude in the world. And I'm like, I don't know that this is good. I don't know that this is good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
It's a little
And
too
that's
close.
the old school in me, but not just. I don't think it's just the old school. It's also what are we trying? I don't know what we're trying to portray. And it's kind of
Yeah.
I kind of go back to the Undertaker thing, like protect it. You don't have to be MJF heel all the time, but maybe just not have you do that type of press.
Yeah. The line is a little too blurry now, I think, in some ways.
I agree. But thank you guys for kind of going down this Kamala path with me.
Yeah.
He's actually one of my favorite characters of all time. Always has been. Not somebody that I'll sit back and go, oh man, he's already at the top of my list. But when I think about great characters and just characters that were built in the territories, made it to the top, and really never really got their flowers they should have gotten.
It's true.
But great characters that helped build the 80s and part of the 90s and really invested in himself. And because once he became Kamala, it's just crazy. We talk about how people have transitioned those characters and become something different and new. He went from, his Sweet Brown or whatever he was, and they went to, I believe he went to Canada and then came back, and boom, they turned him into Kamala. Kind of like what they did with, Sylvester Ritter. He left, went to Canada, came back as Junkyard Dog, and became one of the biggest stars of all time. So it's like, that's the advantage that I try to tell people today. When we talk about a Tony Storm, we talk about a Jade Cargill or a Ricky Saints or any of these people, and they're like, oh, AEW dropped the ball, or oh, WWE dropped the ball. No, they didn't. You need to have that place you can go and reinvent yourself. And these guys used to be able to do it all the time, whether it was a Kamala or a Junkyard Dog or even Dusty. I mean, all these guys would go different places, try different things, go, that will work in Georgia. That will work in Florida. That will work. We did it with our Von Erich episode. The Von Erichs left Texas, went to Florida, became heels.
Yep.
And it's like, wait, what? And then they came back with better characters as baby faces. So Rock and Roll Express, two just random dudes get put together. And then boom, here we go. So I think that's what we do have today that we can celebrate with TNA being on fire, MLW doing so well, AEW finally kind of getting their traction back, WWE, and having these guys be able to jump back and forth. I just implore people to go, oh, they didn't drop the ball. Sometimes you just need a different audience and a different territory and different people around you to flourish.
Yeah.
So, but thank you guys for kind of going down this path. Everybody out there, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, shoot us some stuff. Tell us some of your favorite characters and just something that you may have remember from the past, or go back and check out some of this world class or in Memphis or USWA. Go back and check out some Portland, Oregon wrestling, or these, Paul Botch out in Houston wrestling and all that kind of stuff. You have characters everywhere. They could hide perfect what Heyman did. hide the negatives, accentuate the positives, and it's easier to do with these characters. So you guys let us know in the comments, hit us up, let us know where you want us to go next. Thank you for watching Into the Building. Talking in the building. Go to intothebuilding.com. Check out the back catalog. Check out everything else we got coming up. We have the Rushmores of Wrestling, where we talk about our top 4 random topics. You just never know what we may bring. We've had some in the building reports recently, where we get a correspondent who was in the building for an event. Hopefully we have a couple more of those coming up soon.
Yeah.
And then, our Dusty reviews, and of course this one, the long format. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, y'all. Like, subscribe, share. And for Adelaide, for Adrian, I'm Greg. UFL's kicking off soon. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one, y'all.